Hey, so male gamers who've been complaining about the new God of War game, relax. Seriously, though. I've been sitting here sifting through miles of inane observations about how God of War Laufey is woke because of a female protagonist. How Laufey isn't hot, how female protagonists need to be these ample breasted, murderous quip machines that's supposed to stimulate the minds and ignite the loins of gamers everywhere. And I realize that I haven't dusted off my old episode intro in quite some time, and knowing how this situation is so stupid, it bears repeating. And you know what? Here it goes. Warning! This episode contains themes that may be viewed as offensive to some, and in this case, good. If you or anyone you know is offended by this episode or the bulk of this podcast, we recommend going to your nearest religious institution or windowless room where the ills of the world cannot harm your piteously fragile way of thinking. You have been warned. Seriously though, why the fuck are most gamers obsessed with the notion that female protagonists need to be hot? Anyway, this is I Am Heathen, and so can you.
You learned enough.
I am heathen.
And so can you.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to I Am Heathen, and so can you. I am your host, Einar, and today we'll be addressing a genuine 800-pound gorilla in the room, the God of War franchise. And for those of you genuinely wondering why a Norse pagan podcaster is discussing a Hellenic-centric video game franchise, I'm going to go out on a limb and assume you haven't gotten out much or spent much time gaming since April 19th of 2018. Because, newsflash, God of War has entered the Norse space, and another notch in the litany belt that, as I've taken to calling it, Viking media. Well, I've never really been much of a fan of the monster franchise. I do have to admit, watching the hyper-violent Spartan with breathtaking rage issues take his frustrations out on another pantheon was delightfully refreshing. And seeing actors, the likes of Richard Schiff and Ryan Hurst, play Odin and Thor respectively, I was really super happy with what I'd seen. And if you've spent any time playing the game, spoiler alert, you come to find out that Atreus, the son of Kratos, is in reality Loki. And the woman Kratos married, his wife, Faye, is the Jotun Laufey, the mother of Loki. Flash forward to 10 days ago, the trailer for God of War Laufey was announced, and it was shown that gamers would be taking their controllers and playing as Laufey in the afterlife of the gods. Now, was this received well? Has this been expected to be another banger and a boon to the franchise? If you've been around gamer circles enough, when a female protagonist doesn't suit the beauty standards of a bunch of Cheeto-dusted gamers, you hear fun comments like, "This game is woke. I won't be buying because I don't want to play as a bitch. Why aren't we playing as Kratos? My brother's nephew's uncle's father works for Sony, and he said God of War was going to be in Egypt. I wanted Kratos to kill Anubis, okay?" There happens to be, God damn it, there happens to be a really powerful scene in, I believe, God of War Ragnarok, when Kratos and Atreus are walking through a valley where it's very clear that a brutal battle happened. And you later come to find out that it was a duel between Laufey and Thor. And Laufey gave Thor so much of the business, he retreated. And that automatically solidified for me how badass of a character she would have been had Faye been alive for the mainline Norse god of war games. But does it matter? Has this point resonated with the majority of gamers? According to Timu Jared Leto and the poster child for rectal flop sweat Asmongold, nobody wants to play as a 40-year-old suburban soccer mom. Now, my question for Asmongold is a simple one. Is he blind? Has he seen who's playing Laufey? Deborah Ann Wool, who is not only drop dead gorgeous, but an absolute unit of an actress. And before somebody makes the choice to come from my neck, yeah, I know Deborah Ann Wool's a beautiful woman. I said it. There's nothing wrong at all with looking at hot people. The adult entertainment industry is as profitable as it is for a reason. But resorting to downplaying an actress's talent and borderline calling her ugly just because it's not the actress, but rather the character she plays, don't fit into what you consider hot, it's pretty fucking creepy. More importantly, the realization that the men who have been creepily complaining about the way Laufey was conceived are made because they can't control, and remember that word, control an over-sexualized character for whatever weird control fantasies they may be running around with in their heads. All right, everybody, let's take a minute to talk about something real important to me. We'll be right back. Greetings, my friends. I'm Einar Blackthorn, founder of The Common Hearth and host of I Am Heathen and So Can You. I am a very big believer in supporting small businesses, especially if they're pagan-owned businesses. And the ability to support my friends and give their endeavors a boost is something I am honored to do. I'm a huge collector of oddities and curios to display in every iota of free space in my home. And can you imagine how delighted I was when I found out my good friend Vex is one such business owner, and I'd like to introduce you to Whimsy Decay. Whimsy Decay is a fantasy art and storytelling project by Vex Kelpie and Mr. Odd, woven from cryptids, ghosts, folklore, fairy tales, lost artifacts, and handcrafted curiosities into an ever-growing archive of strange and beautiful relics. And now, back to the show. Now let's look at this shit from a heathen standpoint, shall we? Let's take a second to inspect how much we know about Laufey. Other than she's Laufey's mother, the answer might shock you. You ready? Other than her name, the fact that she's Laufey's mother, and her ties to Farbauti, we know jack shit. No accomplishments, no appearance, no nothing. So this falls down to artistic expression to bring Laufey to life, and the manner in which she is depicted, spectacular violence aside, falls in the range of what a Viking Age woman in Scandinavia could have looked like. And I'm so very sorry to all the walking erections out there who were mad at the fact that Laufey made them fall limp like overcooked pasta. My first exposure to spiritual communities online was through TikTok of all places, and that has the nasty tendency of getting as toxic as it gets. And while I am a geek and can genuinely say my exposure to geek culture and the geek community at large has been positive, I find it infuriating that these men who have dusted off their crumb-flecked maws to bitch about not having a woman and jiggle on command for them when they go AFK get the loudest and bitch the hardest. I'm not exactly happy to admit to the fact that I've seen a shift in gamer culture for the longest time now. where it's becoming trendy to not even just show your ass. Everybody who does this is just showing straight hole, completely bitching and moaning about ridiculous details in gaming. Yasuke being historically inaccurate at Assassin's Creed Shadows when Yasuke was fucking real. Yasuke was a real black samurai in samurai era Japan. People saying the little girl robot in Pragmata needed to show more leg. And a whole other litany of problematic, racist, homophobic, fucked up ass takes that would make the Marquis de Sade blush. Now, I won't be sitting here putting heathens on a pedestal, you know? Just because I haven't heard heathens bitching for the same reasons I'm railing against doesn't mean it hasn't happened yet. And if I hear this shit out of the mouth of heathens, I will address this with the same amount of genuine annoyance. Moral of the story: just because you're playing a game, just because you don't have subservient ooh-woo machines with tits in your face every 20 seconds, because, again with the control fantasies here, it doesn't mean the game is inherently terrible. And this also speaks to incel culture as well. If women are repelled by you, they aren't the one at fault. And part of me genuinely hopes the developers of Laufey have a massive sense of humor. And if somebody idles for too long or goes AFK, the camera circles about the character and you get shot a look of nothing but pure stank face. I, for one, once the game is released, I'm going to buy it. In fact, I'll be getting my hands on the entire Norse saga in the God of War franchise, and I think it's important for me and you all to hear my thoughts on this now that we've gone gamer on this show. That, my friends, is all the time we have for today. Tune in next Thursday, in fact, all Thursdays at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for all your heathen drive time needs. If you'd like to interact with us on other platforms, you can find us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at The Common Hearth. I also want to take this brief moment to thank all of you for your patience with us and how we've been coming in and out with content. Working a full-time job and being a grad school student and running a podcast is no easy feat. But when you're heard in 30 countries and you're about to crest 3,500 downloads, every minute is worth it. Every bit of content researched, every bit of effort made to make this show what it's becoming is all because of you. And because of YouTube tremendously strange naming conventions for their channels, we'll be going live on TikTok and YouTube very soon, and we will be announcing that live schedule when it drops. And in our usual tradition, raise a glass and repeat after me. Hail the gods, hail the folk, hail the spirits, hail the ancestors, and most importantly, hail yourselves. Keep the fires burning, my friends. This has been a Blackthorn production.